Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam Allah, wa rasulullah. Welcome to us, our first class for tonight, which is our Aqidah class. And for this class, we are studying from the book that I hope everyone now has a copy of, the book entitled Diluting. I'm going to put the title up on the screen there. Diluting Wala Wal Bara. And this book is written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. And you can get a copy of this book by going to Amazon. Go to Amazon.com, type the name of the book. That's how it's spelled. Diluting Wala Wal Bara. And that's the author's name, Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. The book is $19.99. It needs to be a part of every Muslim's library because it addresses how our belief system should be. This book is the second of the trilogy. We went over the first book called Get to Know Your Lord. Get to Know Your Lord. That was a book that broke down exactly what it means to believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. It spoke about what we believe in. It talked about things that contradict our belief system. It broke down what it means to believe in Allah's angels, his books, and how when we make that declaration of faith, we're not just declaring that we believe in Allah, but that he's the only one worthy of worship. That's the first book of the trilogy. That book should be read before this one, because this is the second of the trilogy. And this book addresses the second part of the Shahada, which is allegiance, which has to do with allegiance. It's that time of year right now, whereas we call it 'tis the season. 'Tis the season. What does that mean? This is where all the non-Muslim holidays start to happen, starting this month. Halloween. Then after that, it's Thanksgiving. Then after that, it's Christmas. Then after that, it's New Year's. Then after that, it's Valentine's Day. Then after that, then after that, then after that. It all starts now. 'Tis the season. And one of the things that you guys, that we always get this time of year is, can I participate? The Muslims are always asking, can we participate? Can we participate? Can I participate in Halloween? Can my daughter draw pumpkins in school? Can my son dress up like a scarecrow? Can we participate? And then, this is where all the different answers come in. And this is where the people of knowledge, we can tell who the true people of knowledge are by the answers these people give you. You will have some people say, oh, well, it's okay. Nothing's wrong with celebrating these non-Muslim holidays as long as they don't contradict worship. Halloween is for the kids. It's fun. It's just candy and dressing up and trick-or-treating. Okay, that's not worshiping Allah. And Thanksgiving is okay. It's we're supposed to thank Allah, and Christmas we do it for the kids. On a different day. All these weird answers come up, and they all wrong. Even if the holiday doesn't have to do with worship. For example, the holidays such as Thanksgiving. Yeah, Islam does teach us that we should thank Allah. But does Islam teach to thank Allah just one day out the year? Did the Prophet Muhammad tell us to set aside one day and make it a national holiday to give thanks to Allah? Or does Allah command us to thank him on a regular basis every day that he allows our soul to come into our body? So this is the second half of the Shahada, which is allegiance. When we testify to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, we are also pledging allegiance to Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to the Muslims. And part of that allegiance is to denounce anything that comes between that, to disassociate from anyone or anything that comes between that. So, Thanksgiving, for example, this holiday, it contradicts that. It contradicts what Allah commands us to do. It's a command. Allah orders us to appreciate him, to praise him, to glorify him, to thank him every day. He didn't say set just one day out the year to do it. So this contradicts our Islamic principle of thanking Allah on a regular basis. So because this holiday contradicts that, we can't participate in it. Anything that contradicts our belief, just like if somebody declared a day for us to just pray 3 salats. Let's say the king of Saudi Arabia decided to announce a day of relaxation. And that day of relaxation entails that instead of us praying 5 times a day, all we got to do is 2 or 3 prayers. This totally contradicts our principles. So we can't take part in that. Okay? So allegiance is important, but most Muslims don't understand this concept. If we truly understood the concept of allegiance, we wouldn't be participating in no holidays other than the 2 that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered us to participate in. And that's the Eid al-Adha and the Eid al-Fitr. And that goes for the Muslim lands too. For example, we got some Muslim countries that celebrate Al-Aqsa Day. Al-Aqsa Day. What holiday is this? Did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever set aside one day and tell the Muslims that this is the day that we pay homage to the Masjid al-Aqsa? Does Allah command us in the Quran to set aside one day out the year to glorify and pay homage to Al-Aqsa? Y'all see, so the non-believers are not the only ones who create these crazy holidays that go against our Islamic principles, which in turn causes us to have to do Wala Wal Bara, distance. Muslims do it too. There's no such day. Al-Aqsa Mosque, existed during the time of the Prophet. Did he or any other companion after him order the Muslims to worship that day, to spend that day, a day out the year, just worshiping Masjid al-Aqsa or thanking Allah for Masjid al-Aqsa? Well, let's just make a day for Masjid al-Medina, Masjid in Cleveland, Ohio. What about taking a day to celebrate the mosque in Turkey? I mean, come on, guys. This is ludicrous. Where is your allegiance? Wal Bara, and Wala. Subhanallah, is our allegiance to a mosque? Or is our allegiance to a piece of this earth? Some people worship certain parts of the earth. They take a day and set it aside to worship or to honor a certain part of the earth. We got Muslims that celebrate birthdays. How many of you Muslims did birthdays this year? Oh, all the hands up. Yeah, look at that. This invalidates your allegiance, and this impedes upon our way of worship. Okay? And who and what we worship. So the non-believers are not the only ones guilty of this nonsensical stuff. Muslims are too. And this is why, remember, Allah says anytime we deviate in our aqidah, he's going to send some punishment to us. He's going to send some trials to us, some calamities to us, some hardships to us. So we Muslims, are just as guilty How many of you people just got through doing some so-called birthday of the Prophet? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We don't even know when he was born. Hello. And right before he died, the last words he said before Allah took his soul was, "Do not do to me what the Christians did to my brother Jesus." And here you Muslims in different Muslim lands are doing the same thing, celebrating birthdays. I mean, astaghfirullah. So, allegiance. What does it mean to have allegiance to Allah? What does it mean? It means that my allegiance lies to him. I obey him in everything he commanded. I stay away from everything he commanded. I put nothing before him or his laws, his rules. And then our allegiance is to the Prophet, the same thing, and to each other, not a race. How many of you celebrate Black History? Let's just throw that in there too. We're going to do Black History Month. Hello. Did the Prophet Muhammad do a Black History Month? Y'all see? We have to check our allegiance. Is your allegiance to a race, to a color? Or is it supposed to be to all Muslims, no matter what their color, what their race? Is there a Qurayshi month? Black Qurayshi History Month? Ansari History Month? Come on, guys. So like I say, we Muslims are just as guilty because our allegiance is not correct. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with teaching stuff like that. I mean, I'm not putting down teaching about Black history or teaching about the history of anything. Y'all know I'm a historian anyway, okay? But I'm just saying, when we start declaring holidays or setting aside special days of the year to eulogize, and by the way, eulogizing is not lawful anyway. We can't even eulogize the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, more or less a race, a color, a people. Okay, but I know a lot of people do it to teach here in America, they teach about Black history. I'm not knocking that, because a lot of the African Americans don't have a history, or they were beaten out of their history was beaten out of them. So that's a different thing. But I'm just giving examples as to how we can't just say that the non-believers are the only ones guilty of this crap. Okay, Muslims do it too. We have to constantly check our Aqidah. And that's why we have that hadith that we talked about the other day. Whereas one of the companions came to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and said, "Oh Prophet, give me some advice that would be best for me, that no one can give me better than you." And he said, don't just say you believe in Allah. Don't just say La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. He said, be firm in that. Have certainty of faith. And that's the thing that we need to work on as Muslims, that certainty of faith. Whereas I believe what I believe, and there's nothing that anyone can say or do to pull me away from that. That's my Wala Wal Bara. I believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and I'm firm in it. There's nothing you can do to cause me to deviate away from that. Certainty of faith. This is what we all need to work on today, because as the days get worse, the trials get more severe for us. The Prophet said the only people who will be able to overcome the hardships, for example, like he told the companions, when that war against Islam occurs, when those 80 nations, all bearing 80 different flags, he's talking about the United Nations, 80 different United Nations. When those United Nations vote to have war against all Muslim countries, the Prophet said when that occurs, The only people that will be able to handle it with dignity are those of us who don't just say we believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but we are certain upon that. Those of us with certainty of faith will be the ones that will come out successful. Those who don't have the certainty of faith, guess whose side you're going to be on? Because after that war against Islam, what happens? The Antichrist is coming right after that, guys. Most of you will be on the side with the Dajjal, with the Antichrist. Most of you will be supporting him, thinking that he's Allah, because of the miracles that Allah will cause to happen as a way of testing and weeding out the hypocrites from the true believers. All that stuff happens right after each other. So, you know, we got to work on our aqidah. We have to work on Wala Wal Bara, allegiance to Allah, allegiance to the Prophet, allegiance to the believers, and learn how to distance ourselves from anyone and anything that contradicts that. And that's what we're talking about here in chapter 11. Everyone get your books out. We are in chapter 11 of this book. And I want you guys to take your books out and read along with me as I put this PowerPoint up. Because this chapter focuses on Wal Bara, distancing. How to distance yourself from any and everything that opposes La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And it focuses on today, we're going to speak about the power for those of us who do master this ability. For those of us Muslims, those of us Muslim communities who master the ability to distance ourselves from any and everything that contradicts La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, it brings about a lot of power. And we need that power in today's trials. Okay, so let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And by the way, right before class, I had to go to the store to get some of my medicine. And one of the cashier, pretty little young girl, you know, she had a little hijab on and pretty little thing. And she asked me, she said, "Oh, where are you from?" I told her my father's from Misr, you know, Egypt. She said, "Oh, mashallah." She said, "I'm half Palestinian and half Egyptian too." I said, "Oh, you like my sister-in-law?" And then she said, "I figured you was Egyptian." She said, "Because I can tell by looking at you." And she said, "You look so familiar." She said, "Do you come in here much?" I said, "No, I DoorDash." I said, "But you know my name." I said, here's my credit card. You can read my name." And she looked at the next day. "Oh my God, you're Laila Nasheeba." She said, "You're Laila Nasheeba." I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, I listened to you." She said, "In fact, I'm getting ready to listen to your class today." She said, because I put you, she wears that ear thing. She said, because they play the music in the store, she was saying. She said, "So I'll put on my headset and I listen to you on YouTube." So this is a shout out to her because I told her I would make it home. You see, I made it home in time, sweetie. Because she was saying, make sure you get home in time. She says, so I can listen to you because it gets kind of, you know, boring until the people get off work and then they come in. So in case you're listening, my little Palestinian Egyptian sister, you know, I made it home. I'm on time. And I gave my shout out to you like I told you I would. Okay. All right. So let me get started. Let's put the PowerPoint up. And she doesn't get a chance to see the PowerPoint because she's working. So she just listens. And just a reminder, she told me to remind people too. I want you guys to remember we do have a SoundCloud. I have a SoundCloud page too. A lot of people like to listen to my lectures when they're in the car or when you're on your off time. Go to my SoundCloud page, Laila Nasheeba. All the lectures are there too, so you can just listen and play them in your car. Okay. But anyway, she told me that she likes listening to those too. And I'm glad, because I was wondering, do people use my SoundCloud page? So it's good to know that some of you do listen on SoundCloud. So I'll keep putting the stuff there. Okay, so let's put the PowerPoint up. And yes, she wore hijab, guys. I was glad to see a young girl with a hijab on, mashallah. You know, because most of these young girls, I can't tell if they Muslim or not because they just don't cover up. I mean, but alhamdulillah, I'm seeing more and more of them wearing their hijabs. And I'm so proud of all you sisters, you know, for wearing the hijab. But we have to work on the rest too. I have to remind you, it's not just hijab. The hijab doesn't mean anything if we don't have that abaya on too. So I want you sisters, I'm proud that y'all wearing hijab, but I want you sisters to also pull out those Egyptian abayas, pull out those Palestinian abayas and cover, so we can't see your baby got back. Sorry, that's an Arabic African thing. I'm sorry. All African women. And I tell you, Arabic women are in the black race. I keep telling y'all that. Baby got back. Y'all got to cover it up. Put them abayas on. Nobody should see that it's all about that bass, No treble. Ain't no treble. Well, some of us got treble and bass. But a lot of them just got bass. Put that abaya on. Okay, cover it up, sisters. But I'm proud to see you almost there. You got the hijab on. That's good. That's a good start. Do the rest too. Okay, let's put the PowerPoint up. All right. Okay, here's the PowerPoint. Okay, for today's lecture. Let's see. I did the kids. This is the kids. This is us. Yeah, today we're going to speak about the power. For those of us who do master those Muslim communities, y'all can see the screen. Okay. Those Muslim communities that do master distancing themselves against any and everything that opposes our allegiance to Allah and this religion, you know, it brings about a lot of power. And one of the number one powerful things it does is it allows us to progress socially. It allows us to progress socially. Okay? Now, distancing yourself from everything that opposes Allah, the Prophet, and the religion, this serves as a guide of transformation and change. Just like I like seeing how my girls in the Starbucks, the Starbucks I go to, I didn't get a chance to go today because I ain't got no money. Thanks to this website, can't even afford my Starbucks. But just like subhanallah, that you know, by us uniting together and distancing ourselves against everything that contradicts La ilaha illallah, it looks wonderful when I go to that Starbucks store and I see not one, but now I see three women walking around with a hijab on, and they also wearing jilbabs. Mashallah, that's social change. By distancing yourself against that which contradicts our morality, nakedness contradicts our morality. Look at the change. It started off with one girl wearing it, and then two, and now three of the Starbucks workers. Now you drive up to that Starbucks where I live, you will see them not just in hijab, but also in abaya too now. Alhamdulillah. So adopting this distancing, it brings about constructive solutions to social problems. Also, by distancing yourself against injustice, corruption, and inequality, it brings about a social change as well. So again, guys, it all boils down to us accepting the reality that Allah perfected this religion for us. Like I was telling one of the girls at the coffee shop a couple weeks ago, all the laws that Allah made, all the rules Allah made, all the obligations he imposed upon us Muslims are for our betterment. They're not punishments. They're for our protection. The way we dress, this protects us. If a man wanted to abduct a woman, he ain't going to abduct me. He going to abduct the lady behind me that's sitting there with her base showing. Okay? She's an easier target. Plus the look on my face. That's another thing we're going to talk about too. As Muslim women and men, we have to walk with dignity and pride. And the natural look we have is a look like, I ain't messing with her. I'll never forget when I was at work. When I was working, there was a man that I had to represent as a union steward, and he got himself caught up in some trouble. And his trouble was he couldn't keep it in his pants, if you know what I mean. And so I remember I had to sit down and talk to him. I said, what is your problem? Why is it that you're always in trouble? Every woman that comes into this office, you can't keep it in your pants, you know, and now you're messing with women who are married and you got their husbands calling here, threatening to blow the place up and stuff because you messing with their wife. I told him, but I've been working with you for 10 years. I said, and I've never saw this behavior. I couldn't believe he was doing all this stuff. I said, I work with you. We work together dealing with those clients, taking them, you know, down, dealing with their jinn possessions. I said, and you've never been nothing but polite and mannerable to me. I said, but these other women tell me that once they hired, you know, you all up in their face, you know, trying to force them to go out with you and give you their number. I said, but I can't, it's like you got schizophrenia or something. He said, Miss Laila, I'm going to tell you a secret. He said, I got a problem. He said, I want some EAP counseling. That's how government workers say their jobs, EAP. He said, I want some EAP counseling because I do have a sexual problem. He said, I have a serious sexual problem. He said, but I know what type of women to go after. He said, I prey upon those women that lack self-esteem, that lack self-confidence. He said, Miss Laila, the way you carry yourself, I wouldn't dare approach you. He said, because I know that you're not that type of woman, you know. So I said, really? I said, let's talk about it. He said, seriously. He said, I walk what y'all call my buffalo stance. That buffalo stance walk that I do, and that I'm always got the mean buffalo stance. He said that keeps people like him away. And that's the truth. I mean, as Muslims, you know, and I was trained, you know, my mother raised me to always be beautiful, to be a woman of dignity, a woman of finesse and beauty, but also let him know I ain't the one. So I've had that buffalo stance look on since I was 7 years old. I ain't the one. I call it the I ain't the one. So if I'm walking down the street, I'm walking with dignity, but they can look and see she ain't the one. And that's what this co-worker had told me. He said, Laila, the way you carry yourself is, I ain't the one. You ain't the one to go after, but I'm going to go after that one there. So, you know, this is part of our identity. Like we talked about as the true, to understand Wala Wal Bara, it becomes part of the Muslim identity. The way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you behave, it's dignity, humility, and balance, but also you letting them know, I ain't the one, not me. I'm polite, honorable, intelligent, but if I have to throw down, I'm going to throw down. And hey, I'll die throwing down. It's just the way we carry ourselves. Okay, and that's something of respect. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because that's another thing too. When you know how to distance yourself and adapt that type of character, it becomes a character of respect. Like that coworker told me, Miss Laila, I respect you. I would never come at you like that, because number one, you ain't the one. And number two, that's something that the way you carry yourself, I better think twice. But now these other ones, they fall victim. Okay. So as Muslims, we distance ourselves from social issues and negative influences that can bring about injustice and inequality. Okay. And this in turn encourages positive social change amongst us. Also, the simple fact that as Muslims, even though we distance ourselves from that which opposes our belief system, we're quick to help those in need. Just like me on the job. I mean, this man, you know, what he did is a serious sin in my religion, in our way of lifestyle. A man that's always got a problem keeping it in his pants, that's a serious issue in our religion. But the simple fact that I represented him, I had no choice really, but the fact that I represented him to the best of my ability, I didn't cover for him, but I didn't throw him under the table. I put him in the EAP program. That's what the best I could do. I admit that the man has a sexual problem, because we don't lie as Muslims. And I admit that he's an endanger to his co-workers. But give him some help. Don't just fire him. That's why that was my plea to the administration. Don't fire him. He needs his job. He's got 2 kids to take care of. Okay, he's got a wife. Rent is high. Don't make him lose his chance, you know, his way of taking care of his family. But instead, get the man some help. Put him in the EAP program. Let him go through some sex classes and whatever they do for non-Muslims. That's what I told him. And they did. So the charity and the social justice that we show to others, you know, it causes others to look at us, like I was saying earlier, with respect. We live by principles. We don't compromise our principles. But we are people of justice. We will try to help you without covering for the wrong that you do. We're going to help you by admitting that you got a problem and trying to get you some help. Hello, so that society can thrive in a productive way. Y'all see that? This is the beauty and the power of Wala Wal Bara. Okay. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, oh, you who believe, whoever of you reverts from the religion. That's why I tell you guys, stop calling yourself a revert. You ain't no revert. You're a convert. A revert is a person that apostates. Okay. Oh, you who believe, whoever of you should leave your religion, Allah will bring in your place a people who will love him and who he will love. And they are people who are humble, who will be humble towards the other believers, and they will be strong against the unbelievers. Now, this beautiful verse of the Quran we spoke about before in chapter 9. We came upon this verse in chapter 9. This verse emphasizes the significance of being people of justice and people of equity despite adversity. So by us rejecting the biases and prejudices of others, and instead by us upholding justice, we contribute in a positive way to society. Like I told you with my coworker, You know, I got him some help. I protected all the other females in the office from his sexual problems and got him some help. And then I had him move to a different office, a different place. He worked with men. That's the other thing I did. After he completed his EAP program, I had him move to a different cottage where he only worked with male clients and male men. No females worked that house. Okay. This is how we bring a positive change to society. And we have to remember, guys, that the Quran emphasizes justice and equity. And we have the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as to how to carry it out. That's why I tell you guys, when you ask me questions, I'm always giving y'all examples from the Prophet and the companions, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's the explanation of the Quran. Allah makes the laws. Allah puts the rules in effect. The laws in effect. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us how to carry them out. So we can see Wal Bara in through his example, through how he dealt with the Quraysh, the Ansar, and others. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said the true believer is friendly. And because he's friendly, people are quick to befriend him, because there is no goodness in a person who is not friendly. There's nothing good in a person who others run away from and don't want to befriend. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the best of people are those who are of benefit to others. Subhanallah. And this hadith is something that I grew up with. It's what my mother and my stepfather and Mukhtar's mother and Mukhtar's father emphasized to me and my siblings and all the rest of the kids in my community when we were growing up in the 60s. Okay? You want to be strong. You want to be proud. Say it loud. Not I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm Muslim and I'm proud. That was our saying. Okay? James Brown had his. We had ours. Okay? So when I go out amongst the unbelievers, I'm going to be a woman of dignity and balance and humility. But I'm also going to be polite and mannerable. I want to carry myself in a way of respect. I want the people to look at me and know that I'm not the one. But like that coworker said, but to also respect me and want to come to me for help, because they know can't nobody help them better than me, because I fear nothing but Allah. I don't fear management. I don't fear repercussions of filing a grievance like other people did. I don't fear the repercussions of picketing. Because we had to picket sometimes during contract negotiations. I don't fear the repercussions of that. And that brings about respect, because when I do those things, I do them within balance to get what we want. We have a plan. We stick with it. We get what we want. So that's how you earn the respect of the non-Muslims around you. So they may not like us. They never will like us. They'll be jealous of us, but they know, hey, we can depend on them. When they need help, who they going to come to? Out of all the union people in the state of Ohio, who did they come to? Okay, when they needed something passed, a bill to be passed, who did they come to? Okay, that's what the power of Wal Bara. Okay, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized that we stand strong and firm in our beliefs, but be friendly. And make it so that people are not afraid to approach you, because there's no goodness in a person who people fear to approach. Does everybody understand that? And when the Prophet taught this, in turn, he also taught, remember, Allah hates injustice. It'll be a darkness on the day of judgment. Beware of the supplication of the oppressed. This is what he would tell the companions when he would put them in positions of leadership, when he would put them in positions of power, when he would put the companions in positions that were public. He would always remind them oppression will be a darkness on the day of judgment. And beware of the supplication of the person oppressed, because there's no screen between the supplication of a person that's oppressed and Allah, even if that person is a kafir. Yeah. Allah may answer the supplication of a non-believer in this world, but he don't answer them in the hereafter. So beware of how you treat the people. That's what the prophet would tell the companions when he put them in public positions or leadership positions. Beware. Because even though they don't believe La ilaha illallah, there's no screen between their supplication and Allah. That's how much Allah hates injustice and oppression. Okay? So beware how you treat people. So, Al-Bara, this principle of separating ourselves, distancing ourselves from injustice is essential in preserving Islamic justice and equity. It protects our Islamic ideas, it protects our Islamic values, and it encourages us to hold ourselves accountable. Like the prophet said, hold yourself accountable before and after doing a deed. And it also encourages us to hold our morality accountable to check ourselves, to ask ourselves, is this what Allah would want me to do? Is this what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have done? Is this how the companions would have handled themselves in this type of situation? And by holding yourself accountable like that, it will cause you to take a firm position against misconduct. And once you hold yourself accountable like that, then society remains balanced and just. It's when we don't hold ourselves accountable for our actions that we end up falling into malfeasance, stealing, cheating, bribery, disparate treatment, nepotism, and all of that. It's when we fail to follow this that we end up succumbing to the societal things that can destroy us. Okay? So, Al-Bara, the power of Al-Bara is it causes us to hold ourselves high in regards to our ethics. It causes us to assume responsibility for our actions by avoiding dishonesty and the things that Allah says are unjust. Also, the power of Al-Bara is it promotes a culture of accountability in which we are aware of what we do and the effects of our actions. And it inspires us to be moral and to treat others with respect and compassion and empathy, not sympathy, empathy. And in turn, everything, balances out. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. O you who have believed, be persistent. Be persistent. Be persistent and stand firm to justice. Be witnesses for Allah, even if it's against yourself or your parents or your relatives. Powerful words here. If we truly believe in Allah, we're going to always stand firm for justice. We won't fall for nepotism. We won't fall for favoritism. We're going to uphold Allah's guidelines, Allah's laws, Allah's rules, even if it's against ourselves. like I did in that case with this one man who had a sex problem, who was sexually harassing every woman. Okay? I'm going to represent him because that's my job. But I'm going to represent him the way Allah wants me to represent him, by admitting that he has a problem, by admitting that he's a danger. And since he's a danger, we're going to get him some help, see if we can reform him. And after he got the help, I came back and said, now we're going to make sure that he can hold firm to his help by putting him in an environment where he cannot never hurt a woman. He's with all men. So there's no women that work with him. So no woman will have to ever deal with him. Y'all see that? That's what it means. Stand firm in justice always. Because we're witnesses for Allah. Okay? So to maintain justice and fairness, it all begins with ourselves, guys. That's why I told you guys last Ramadan. Ramadan's about to come up again. We should spend every day of our lives checking our hearts, checking ourselves to see if we are conforming with the laws, with the law's commands. It begins with yourself. Remember, Allah says he will never change the condition of a people until they change the condition of themselves. We Muslims, we are one nation, one ummah. We have to change ourselves. Until we begin by changing ourselves, there's nothing you can do for Palestine. Like I was telling y'all the other day, all these emotional Muslims going crazy about what's happening. Those Palestinians are handling themselves correctly because Allah didn't put nothing on them that they can't handle. And they're the strongest in faith right now, because the stronger your iman, the greater your trial. They got the worst trial right now, so that means they're stronger than you. They're stronger than me in their iman. And that's why when you talk to any of them that's over there, they'll tell you, we don't need nothing from you. If you want to help us, make dua. But guess what? We don't even need that because we make our own dua. They're strong in their iman. That's why they live in that. And you're not. That's why you over here, crying instead of being over there, because you don't have their iman, their strength. Okay? As Muslims, we have to understand everything begins with ourselves. Change yourself. That's why I was telling you guys, the Prophet taught the companions. You want to be a benefit for this ummah? You want to help the Muslims who are in Mecca, who couldn't migrate with us? You want to help the Muslims that's in Abyssinia, who are too weak to join us? You help them by, first of all, changing yourself, helping yourself, developing that love for each other. And it begins with the greeting. Start giving each other the greeting of assalamu alaikum when you come upon each other, because that's a supplication. And that'll cause love to grow in your heart for your brothers and sisters. Go to the masjids and pray together, because that's showing all your enemies and the rest of the world that how peaceful you are. You come together, stand together, ankle to ankle, shoulder to shoulder, and you're calling upon the Lord, Allah. That's powerful. That shows solidarity. And that also, as the Prophet said, increases your love for your Muslim brother and sister. And then he said, work on yourself, making sure that you hold yourself accountable before you do an action. Am I upholding the laws of Allah? How would people view me? Am I being mannerable? Am I being polite? Am I a person who people don't mind befriending? Or am I one of those Muslims that when the people see me coming, they think terrorists and run away? Am I the type of Muslim woman? Let me use this for the sisters here. When you walk into a bank When you walk into a grocery store, the people look at you and be like, oh my God, she might have a bomb. She might be a terrorist, and run. Or when you walk in, they do a double take. Be like, oh my God, where's she from? Oh my God, I want to know about her. Hi, where are you from? Oh, you're Muslim? Oh, wow. It's a shame what's going on, isn't it? That's what I get. No matter where I go, to the bank, to the store, to the flea market, the non-Muslims do double takes. Excuse me, ma'am, where are you from? Oh, wow. What do you think about what's going on? It's pretty bad, isn't it? I say, oh, well, everything is in the hands of Allah. You know, subhanallah, are you the kind of person that they want to come up to and ask you questions? Or when they see you, they run away because you're the stereotype. You're the depiction that Israel wants you to be. Okay? So it all begins with ourself, changing the condition of ourself. And once you work on changing and reforming yourself through your attitude, through your behavior, through your actions, you know, this is how we help each other. Allah says again, "O you who believe, be persistent and standing firm for Allah. You are witnesses in justice. Do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being just." This is what I had to remind those brothers that joined on Friday. Their hatred of Israel was so off the rocks. Even some of my students, their hatred was so off the rocks, they were saying, go out and defend. Excuse me, what you getting ready to do? Go blow up somebody? You getting ready to start killing all Muslims in America? I mean, all Jews in America? What do you mean, go out? What are you talking about? Defend. What are you talking about? We have to be just. We went over in the class today with the kids how when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent the army to expel the Jews of Nadir, he told them, I'm sending you out there, but do not harm any woman. Do not harm any child. Do not destroy any buildings. Do not tear up the land. Be just. Be just. So where are you Muslims getting this go out and kill, crush, destroy from? That ain't Islam. That's terrorism. That ain't Islam. That ain't how the Prophet was. Like I told them on Friday, bring me one hadith. One hadith where a Muslim was killed by a Jew or anybody else, and the Prophet said, go out and kill, crush, destroy everybody else. Didn't happen. That's what the Zionists want people to believe. That's what Israel wants people to believe. But why are you making it come true when it ain't so? Okay? So again, you know, Allah is commanding us here, do not allow the hatred that you have for people to prevent you from being just. Instead, be just, because that's what's close to righteousness. And this is what Wala Wal Bara promotes. It promotes accountability. It promotes ethics in our communities. And it causes us to hold ourselves to a higher standard of openness, honesty, and responsibility. Y'all get it? And again, the examples are there for us. I just gave you one with the Jews of Nadir. There's many, many, many examples. You guys know the hadith, whereas a woman stole, and the penalty in Islam for stealing is to lose your right hand. This woman happened to come from a wealthy tribe, a wealthy family. They wanted the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make an exception. The Prophet said, no, even if my daughter stole, I would take her hand. Just is just, no favoritism, no nepotism. So there's many examples from the Sunnah that show how to handle yourself and distance yourself without transgressing the limits of Allah. So now let's see how well you guys understood what I talked about. I'm going to give you a quiz. Let's see how well you guys understand this. Okay. The verse, Allah says in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the believer is friendly and befriended because there is no goodness in a person who is not friendly or befriended. The best of people are those who are of benefit to others. Who can explain? Just give us the reasoning, the rationale. Why is it that there's no goodness in a person who is not friendly or a person that nobody wants to make a friend? In other words, what is it about such a person's character that makes that person that way? Because remember, we got to change ourselves. Look at yourself and change your own self. What is it about a person like this that causes others to not want to befriend him, to not want to go around him? Who can get on the mic and explain it? Go ahead. Hurry up.
I'll try to explain it. Alhamdulillah. When we come around people, we actually are looking for the best within themselves as we are trying to put out the best within ourselves. When you go up to someone and they don't have that friendliness, they don't have that, oh, I want to talk with you, it's okay for you to talk with me, you become impatient, you become just like them, you become scared, you become, defensive. And it's not a good feeling to be around a person when you can't be yourself. We all want to be ourselves. We want to be comfortable within ourselves. We also want to be comfortable around people. So when you are around someone and they're not friendly, or you don't feel that you can befriend them in any way, then you take on the same characteristics that they're giving out to you. And it's not a good feeling. It's not good. It's not a good position at all.
That's a great answer. Great answer. Yeah. And what kind of characteristics do they put out? Well, I mean, what type of vibes does such a person put out that make you think that they're bad? What do you think about? What kind of characteristics you think that person may have? Yeah, good job.
It is a negative vibe.
Good.
It's very negative.
Yeah, nobody want to be. That's great. You know, that the vibes. I mean, I don't feel like I can trust this person. You know, I was speaking to somebody yesterday about trust. Something about trust. One of the brothers here on this website asked me this question. He said, Sister Laila, why is it that my wife never listens to me? I said, what do you mean? I mean, if I tell her something, she never listens. I mean, she doesn't do anything I say do. Whenever I tell her something, she wants to argue with me, he said. Whenever I tell her to do something or I tell her something, it's a debate. Why? And I told him, I'm going to answer you as another woman. Because I'm one of them type of women too. Y'all know I don't allow nobody to tell me what to do. You got to be a certain type of person to tell Laila what to do, because I feel like I know how to behave, especially at my age. I'm a 60-some-year-old woman. You can't make me. You can't remake me, and you ain't gonna break me. So obedience from me, I don't give it to you unless you are worthy of it. And it's hard to find a man that you can trust, because it all begins with trust. You know, if I don't trust you, then you're not worthy of my obedience. And what is it that makes me not trust you? Number one, if you don't know this deen, y'all understand that? That's the number one. Everything with me begins with and ends with Allah. If I look at you and start seeing through you and see that you are hypocritical in your aqidah, I ain't talking about your practice, your aqidah, because that's what we all have differences of what's lawful and all that. I'm talking about aqidah. You ain't deserving of my obedience. Who are you? You ain't even wearing a beard. First of all, I divorce you, but you ain't got a beard. And I told this brother, where's your beard? You're not worthy of her obedience. Maybe she looked at it like that. You are not deserving of her obedience because she has no trust in you. Maybe you don't champion her. A woman wants to be championed. If a man can't champion me, then why should I obey you? That's why Khadijah, radiallahu anha, remained single. Remember? Khadijah was a beautiful, rich, wealthy woman. Everybody wanted to marry her. She refused them, turned them down. Because who's worthy of my obedience? Okay? So, trust. Trust is earned. Maybe you've proven to that woman that you're not worthy of it. And it ends up in divorce with a woman like me. When I start seeing through you, when I start seeing that you got issues, you gone. You don't pray. You ain't got no beard. Your understanding of the basics is messed up. Y'all know what my thing, your understanding of women issues. Why didn't I obey my husbands? Y'all know why. I married men who had problems with women, the basics of women. A woman ain't gonna lick your pus. Allah didn't create me to lick your pus. Allah didn't create me to prostrate to you. None of the female companions licked nobody's pus. They didn't prostrate. They were warriors. Hello. And that's me. You can't break me and make me into something I'm not. So that's why there's no obedience to you. Y'all understand what I'm saying? The women do. You sisters get it. But when you do meet that one man, when you meet that one man out there, guys, and every woman here can relate to what I'm saying. He's there. He's got it. He's not trying to break you. He's not trying to bend you. He's into his deen. And the way he approaches you is so logical, so correct. And it's always examples from the hadiths, from the prophet, from the companions. Then that's a person that earns my trust because I know that he doesn't have an ulterior motive. His ulterior motive is not to break me. His ulterior motive is to work with me, to help better me. So now I trust him. I'll obey him. I'll listen to him. But I ain't listening to that one over there who tried to break me and make me turn into something that I'm not. Something that Allah said I didn't have to be. Something that would have been oppressive to me. Something that would have went against my femininity. Hello, y'all get it? That's what that means. And when I explained that to that brother, he thought twice. He said, I said, you need to go see what are you asking your wife to do? What are you asking her to do? Are you asking her to do something that's going to compromise her womanhood, her identity, her self-esteem? Are you trying to compete with her to break her? Or are you trying to make her grow with you? You trying to change her? Or are you trying to work with her so you two can grow together? You brothers need to think about it. That's why a woman ain't going to obey you. That's why I didn't obey my past exes. What you telling me? I ain't doing that. You crazy? No, I ain't got to do that. Why you want me to do it? What's the reason you want me to do this? Am I violating the law? Am I doing something are you crazy? Women are complicated. But men are complicated too. But everything begins with and ends with Aqidah. You find that man that's with the correct Aqidah, a woman will listen. And his approach is right. She'll listen. She'll submit even. She'll submit with a smile on her face. But you have to earn that trust. You got to earn that trust from her. When she realizes that you're not out to hurt her, you're not out to destroy her, you're not out to change her into something that she's not, you're not trying to take away the nature of her, she'll submit to you. She'll submit to you. And that's what that hadith meant. We don't lick pus. If a man is good to his wife and has earned her trust, earned her respect, she'll submit gladly with a smile on her face to whatever you are asking her to do, because she knows it's not to hurt her, it's not to undermine her, it's not to destroy her or any of that. Y'all get it? The women know what I'm talking about. All right. Good job. So what is it about? Anybody else want to share? What is it about a person who is not friendly that you want to run away from? Some of those ex-husbands I had, I wanted to run away from them all. Hello. You didn't want to be around them because it was all about breaking you, changing you, taking away you. Okay. Let's look at the next question. Allah also says in the interpretation, the meaning, "O you who have believed, be persistent in standing firm for justice. Be witnesses for Allah, even if it's against yourself and your family." How does this verse relate to distancing yourself? Who can explain how this verse relates to distancing ourselves? Anyone? What does this have to do with distance? Distancing yourself against that which opposes our belief system. How does this verse relate to this? The concept of Wala Wal Bara. Anyone? Come on, guys. Be witnesses for Allah. Come on, guys. That's the key word. Stand firm for what is just. How does that relate to distancing? Nobody knows?
No, I can speak to that. I had an experience this evening with my mother, who actually cussed me out in front of my niece and her husband, who is 300 miles away, to help her. She literally cussed me out. And I had to bring her back to what her Christian life is supposed to be. This is not the way Christians act. Your God is witnessing what you're doing. I told her that. We all came down here in the backside of Adam. I didn't ask to be given to you. Allah gave me to you, and he gave you to me. And it's my responsibility to do the right thing by you. And I'm only doing what I'm supposed to do as a daughter, to take care of you. Oh, you put me in this. I didn't put you in this situation. You have your own test. You have your own life. I do too. I mean, it's just this is so simple. This is just heartbreaking. I didn't let it get to me. You know why? Because I had Allah on my side. And I know Allah was witnessing everything I said and did. And I said and did the right thing. But she came out in front of people who had never seen her act this way. So alhamdulillah, I gained a closer relationship with a niece that I really don't know. And I let her know, you're the best grandchild I think anyone could have. And she just got so appreciative, she and her husband. So alhamdulillah.
Exactly.
This relates to al-Bara.
Exactly. Even if it's like she said, against your mother, her mother, for what's right. As Muslims, we stand up for what is right. We're not going to lower our standards. I'm not going to lower my standards of what Allah, and our standards are based on how Allah said they can be. If your mother orders you to go and buy some pork for her, or buy some cigarettes for her, or buy some alcohol for her, or buy some whatever. You know, this is against Islam. I can't support this. I'm not going to buy that for you. You know, even if it's against your mother, even if it's against your parents, we're witnesses for Allah. Okay, we're witnesses for and our justice is based on how Allah defines it, how Allah defines justice. What about this, guys? Let me ask this question. I got a phone call about this morning, a text message rather. Your neighbor is LGBTQ. Your neighbor is a LGBTQ. He gets somebody, he's coming home from work, and another neighbor calls him out his name and gets into an argument with him. The other neighbor then pushes him and they get into a scuffle. They start fighting. The police comes and the police wants to take statements. You saw everything. You saw everything that happened. But this person is LGBTQ. And you agree with what the other man was saying, how these people need to get out of here as far as flaunting their lifestyle to us. Kissing. I think he said his neighbor was mad because him and his partner were kissing and holding hands. They should do that behind closed doors. They shouldn't subject the rest of the world to see it because we got kids. And so the Muslims say, I agree with what the guy was saying, and I know what led to the fight. I saw everything. But now the police wants me to give a statement. What do I do? Do I tell the truth that the neighbor that believes like I believe was at fault because he's the one that threw the punch? Or do I lie and say I didn't see nothing? How would you guys?
As Muslims?
Yeah, go ahead.
As Muslims, we have to stand up to the truth, even if it's against ourselves. And since that Muslim did see what has happened, yes, we don't agree with that man's lifestyle, but we do have to respect him and give him his rights. And one of his rights is as a neighbor, you saw what happened, so you tell the police and you tell the truth. Even if you don't agree with his lifestyle, we still respect him and we still treat him as his rights he has as a neighbor. Even if you saw somebody steal from his mailbox or whatever it could be, you tell that person, hey, this is what has happened, and you just go on about your business. But as Muslims, we have to stand, we can't transgress the laws of Allah. We have to stand upon the truth and let the police know just what happened.
Exactly, guys. And that's the answer that I gave him. That's the truth. Like Allah says, don't allow your hatred. Don't allow your hatred. Don't allow your hatred of a people to cause you to not stand up for what is just. And remember, guys, LGBTQs existed during the Prophet's times too. He had a problem with that. They had Aphrodites too. Aphrodites lived amongst them. LGBTQs lived amongst them. But like the Prophet taught, we still have to be just. We cannot allow our hatred, even though their lifestyle totally contradicts ours. We still have to uphold justice. Y'all understand that? We distance ourselves from them. But we still have to uphold justice in our dealings with them. The Prophet, just like when that companion in the kids' class, when that companion came upon two men from the tribe of Nadir, and he said, I'm going to kill you because you two men took part. He didn't know. He wasn't there, but he killed him. The Prophet said, you killed somebody and didn't know? He said, this is injustice. You have to pay the blood money for their murder. We don't do what Prophet, his tribe fought against. Still, that's not the way we do things. You just don't take revenge into your own hands. You have to prove it. Like Allah says, we have to have proof. Okay? So the prophet made that companion pay the blood money. So again, guys, even though like I tell y'all, there is nothing that we are experiencing today that hasn't already happened with the prophet, and we got examples from his sunnah as to how to handle ourselves. Good job, Norta. Let's look at the next one. We talked about how Wala Wal Bara, allegiance and disassociation. Our allegiance is based on our belief in Allah and our devotion to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and our allegiance to each other. And it doesn't matter what race you are, what tribe you come from, you know, what color your skin is, what language you speak. This is diversity. So the simple fact that this is from yesterday. Remember I told you I was going to give y'all the quiz from yesterday? This is from yesterday. So how can diversity lead to power? The simple fact that we Muslims are in solidarity, that we're united as one, despite the diversity of our backgrounds. How can this lead to power? Who wants to answer that? The fact that our allegiance is based on religious belief, not color and skin, how can that show power? How can that show power, guys? That we are not aligned to a race, a specific country, a flag, or none of that. How can that show power or lead to power? Anyone? Nobody knows?
Diversity, the way I would see it as, it also comes back to what we learn about being, sympathetic and showing empathy, because as believers, we are, as the prophet said, we are bricks of one another, and each one of us are strengthening another. And if one person out of that brick is bad, we're all bad. So how one person can represent a whole nation, we have to be careful in our actions and our speech and how we treat others, because like one person might see one Muslim do bad and think, oh, all Muslims are like this. So just like how the prophet said, like when one person feels pain, we all feel pain. Yeah, we see what's going on in Palestine, but some of us, we feel that, it's just the fact that we are Muslim, it hurts our soul to see another Muslim going through something like that. Yeah,
exactly. She hit it, guys. Diversity, the simple fact that we don't allow race, color, flag, country to stand between us and our love for each other. Our allegiance is based on our belief in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We show that we are not just one. I mean, we're all over the world. Subhanallah, look at we're everywhere. We're united as one. It lets the rest of the world see the power that we could really be if we truly unite. We have the commodities that you need. We got the oil. We got the gems, the minerals come from our countries. The Muslim lands own all that the rest of the world needs to survive. If we were to unite as one and set aside differences, we would become the superpower. Did y'all know that? The Muslims would become the superpower of the world if we would, unite, because of our religion, not our religion being diversified like that. That what unites us is La ilaha illallah, not color, not race. So that shows a lot of power. Okay, good job. Let's look at the next question. What is it about distancing that leads to respect for those who do it? We talked about that today and yesterday. For those of us who master Wala Wal Bara, We know when to distance and who to distance and what to distance from. How does that lead to others respecting you? Anyone?
Okay. What I did today to make certain that there was no enemies from Maryland to Virginia, I made sure that my mother was smiling when I left her, when her niece left her, when her granddaughter left her, to let her granddaughter see we're family. Families go through certain things. However, she's 97 years old, I'm 80, and we should not be even having an encounter like we did. So I stepped down, I stepped low. I kept that respect and turned it back over to her so that she could come back and respect me as a human being, not her daughter, but as a human being, as I would respect her.
Yeah, and that's all because you upheld the principles of morality of Islam. So that's how it leads to respect. When the people see that we are not going to compromise our principles, our Islamic principles of morality, our Islamic principles of justice, our Islamic principles, period, the people can't help but respect that, because our principles were defined and developed for us by Allah. And Allah knows his creation better than we know ourselves. And if we simply stick to those principles, live our lives as our prophet showed us with those principles, the people can't help but respect you. The people respected the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Caesar met him, he respected him. Every person that met him respected him. All the Roman leaders, even the Persian leaders, respected him. Because how could they not? He was a man of his word. He was a man of integrity. He was a man of justice. He was a man of honesty. These are all the Islamic morals that we're supposed to abide by as Muslims. So that's how we earn respect from our enemies. Okay, good job, Anissa. Also, look at this. Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, when the believers saw their forces, the enemy forces, they said, this is what Allah and his prophet promised us. The promise of Allah and his prophet has been fulfilled. And this only strengthened their faith. We talked about this yesterday. How can we apply that verse to today? How can we apply this to what's happening over in Israel today? How can this verse be applied to us in regards to what's happening in Israel today?
This verse can apply that we should accept Allah's decree. He already told us what's going to happen and what's to come. And this is what he decreed, and for us to accept it and to just move forward, and then, have empathy for the brothers and sisters that are suffering, but also make dua for them and not transgress the limit and go out there and try to make it worse.
Okay, good job, Shamsa. Anyone else?
I will also like to add that Allah already told us in the Quran how the Israelis are. He mentioned to us that they've been committing, destruction on the earth for a while now. But also we have to understand that Allah will settle the scores on the day of judgment. That's why there is a day of judgment. And basically for brothers and sisters of what's going on in Palestine, we just have to continue to make dua for them. And what they're going through, they're the strongest people I've ever seen. They, as soon as the calamity strikes for them, they're always like, Allah, you see this? And Allah will, help us. And yeah, that's what I have to say about this.
Good job. So, just like we see, Allah told us that what's happening, it was going to happen. The Prophet Muhammad gave many hadiths about it. I teach it every year, signs of the last hour. Okay. So Allah's promise has come true. Allah don't make up riddles. And so what it should do is strengthen your faith, not cause you to panic and act ignorant. The prophet said this day would come. The Allah said it came, so it's here. This should strengthen your iman, make you want to change, like we're saying today, change the condition of yourself to that which is pleasing to Allah. Call yourself back to the deen. Call yourself back to practicing the way you should, because those Muslims over there are handling it. If their faith wasn't strong as it is, Allah wouldn't have sent it anyway. So it's about you checking yourself, strengthening your faith, obeying Allah. So when it comes to you, because it ain't done, if this is the beginning of what could lead to the end, it's going to come to you in a minute too. It's going to come to America, United Kingdom, everywhere. Allah says when that war breaks, there will be no place on this earth that won't be going through the horror of it, the devastation of it. So it's time for you to work on your iman, because they dealing with it. They handling it like a pro. What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's getting what you gonna do when the rockets come and bomb you? When you're forced out of your house, exiled out of your little city, are you gonna be able to handle with the dignity and the humility and finesse that they handling it with? So it should increase your iman, like it increased the companions when they saw this type of stuff. All right. Okay, so this is what we had to discuss today. I want you guys to continue with this chapter tomorrow.